All right, Miss Robinson.
Yes,
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too.
Thank you for coming to Keys to Success.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's start off. Where are you from?
I am from San Francisco. I was born and raised in San Francisco. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you go to school out there? Or?
Yeah, everything. Just 2 years ago is when I relocated out here to the Sacramento area.
Okay.
So, and up until August of 2019, I had continued to commute down to the Bay Area.
Wow.
For one reason in particular, I had a son. Well, actually, I have 2 kids. My oldest son, I have great communication with my kids, and he didn't choose for us to move out here. My husband and I made that decision. So I asked him, would he be willing to go to a different school, or did he want to finish? So I gave him an option.
Okay.
And he chose clearly stay with his friends because that's the world to him as of now, at least. And so I made an agreement with him that nothing less than to be on your report card for you to have the luxury, because it's a luxury for you to go to school down there. And I still was working down there, so it wasn't a big of a deal, and he kept his end of the bargain. So I continued until he finished 8th grade, and then I made the transition out here.
Where did you go to college? In San Francisco too?
I didn't. Actually, I did a couple of community college courses on the peninsula and then in the East Bay, but I was not interested in the general ed classes. I just wanted to be focused in what I wanted to actually study, which was business, and I didn't have a need for all of the English classes and all of the other early, general ed courses. So I just took courses here and there. And then at one point, I did want to get into real estate. And then I had taken some real estate courses and gotten a real estate license and practiced that. So yeah, I didn't go to college. I'm not a college graduate.
That's amazing. So looking back on that now, do you feel like that was a great a good decision to kind of skip the general ed classes? Because I know a lot of people that go to college and like, general ed, how come we can't get straight to what I want to do? So what do you feel like now that you made that decision, looking back?
So looking back, I don't regret any of the choices that I've made, because the education for me isn't a deciding factor as far as how successful I'm able to be and where my career can be able to go as a result of the education. Now, if you ask me for my kids, that's a whole nother story.
Right.
And what's available now and what's needed is a different criteria. We play in a different game. Then it was a different game to be played, and I was able to achieve success without formal education.
Wow, that's amazing. So what inspired you to get into the business that you're in now? And what's your position, just for everybody?
I am a branch manager, so I'm vice president branch manager at Bank of the West.
Absolutely. Excellent. So what inspired you to get into the banking business?
I had been working retail because clearly no formal education, not a whole lot of options. And I wasn't clear in what I actually wanted to do. So I had been working in retail jobs, and I had a mentor at the time, and she talked to me because she had been working in banking. I was like, banking, that seems so like not me.
Right.
And she shared with me some benefits of a 9 to 5.
Right.
And some Saturday hours, but Sunday is closed all day. So that was very appealing to me. And I was like, well, why not? And so I went ahead and just applied, and I got my first job as a teller, part-time teller. And then I've always just learned more. I always have a desire to learn more, to get a little bit better. I'm never stagnant in what I do. And so that drive has allowed me to be noticed by leaders within different organizations, because I worked at a few financial institutions. And it's allowed me to get to the point I am in my career now.
Wow, that's amazing. From retail to branch manager. That's inspirational.
It is.
Yeah. So how would you felt like, I mean, I know you kind of gave us an overall view, but more specifically, how do you feel like you got to the point you are in your career now?
My work ethic has gotten me to where I am in my career. And I go above and beyond, not to be recognized. I do what's right and what's necessary from a perspective of doing right by other people. Unfortunately, it's uncommon. It should be common for people to go above and beyond or treat people that they would like to be treated. And I don't do it to be noticed. I do it just because it's the right thing to actually do.
What are your outlooks on some trends in the business field, in the banking industry in the future? Like, have you seen any trends, or what's going on?
Everything is changing in the banking industry.
Okay.
It's not the way that it used to be, and being comfortable with the change. So when I first started out in banking, we had a lot of tellers at the teller line, and that is not the reality in any financial institution that you walk into now. And that's because we have a bit available to us tools and resources that are available to us that we didn't have as utilizing technology for our consumer base. Our customers don't have the time to necessarily walk into the branch and stand for a period of time to wait for a transaction to happen for them. So and we actually do a lot of surveys of actual clients and trying to understand what is it that they would like. So we can be able to meet those particular needs, because we know our traffic in the branches have slowed down tremendously over the years. And how do we continue to be available to provide product and services that they still will need from a financial institution standpoint?
Wow, that's interesting. So I can obviously see how it's changed from when you started to now. What are the biggest challenges that you would see for minorities in business that you've seen?
The challenges for business, it's not enough of them. It's not enough. The opportunities are there.
Okay.
Because I'm helping clients do what they want to do. But it's not enough of minorities stepping into it to create the businesses, whatever their dream is, step into that and be able just to create it, and you build it from the ground up. Everybody don't have it all figured out as soon as they open the business. They just have that vision, and they've taken some first steps. And be okay with not knowing what the end of it will look like. But you're taking the necessary steps now in order to then bring in other people, partner with people to be able to get your vision to get fulfilled on. You don't have to have all the answers, but you need to be able to partner with some people who don't do what you do, but they can fulfill on what your vision is. Be okay with splitting some of the pie. You don't have to have all of the pie. Be willing to share, because then it's a bigger pie to be had.
Have you ever had to turn a person away because they didn't have all the necessary documents that they needed? Explain that.
So, and that's the important piece. So when I'm having a conversation with a client that is interested in opening up a business, my first question to them is, what type of structure do you have? And sometimes that will throw people off. They say, well, what do you mean? Well, what type of business structure do you have? So proprietorship, LLC, corporation, partnership, because we're not legal advice, we're not tax advisors. So they have to be able to tell us what it is, how they want their business to be structured. And each one has its benefits. There's some cons to each one of them. So you want to be able to set it up that's going to best benefit you and your financial situation, and how to be able to also have some protections in place.
Do you guys have any small business resources that you guys offer for business owners?
Yeah, so we have multiple. You mean from a lending perspective? Or
lending, maybe like if someone is not sure about what their structure is and they need to go to someone like a business advisor, or what type of resources would you offer? Any type of resources for small business?
Got it. So from a business lending standpoint, we have multiple. We are a big lender when it comes to SBA financing, which is something huge that is overlooked a lot of times. We know it's available, you hear about it, but then you don't actually act on it or find out what's necessary in order to be able to get that type of funding that's available for minorities. Because it's specifically for minorities, women-owned businesses. It's for those who have some disadvantages that government is backing those type of lending products. Then we have business credit card. Like, establishing some business credit for your organization. Don't carry it as a personal debt to finance your business. Let your business be the one to actually carry the debt for its own business, which is a key thing. Business lines of credit. There's going to be lulls in everybody's business, no matter what business you're in. Have a business line of credit available, so when you have that lull, it's readily available. You get business credit when you don't need it.
Right.
Because when you need it, you will not be able to qualify, because your financial picture will indicate, and it shows a trend in your financials to indicate you no longer qualify for this business lending product that's available to you.
What would you say would be the biggest issue that small business owners have when they're trying to come in and set up a structure and get business credit? What would you say that you've seen that those small businesses are lacking that gets them denied?
Personal credit. You've got to manage your personal credit, because although the business is responsible for the debt, someone has to personally guarantee.
Right.
The bank or any financial institution is not in the business of losing money when it comes to business lending. Someone has to be able to personally guarantee that particular debt. So in order to qualify, we say, well, this guarantor, how has they managed their own personal financial picture? And then that is the gateway to being able to get the lending, but we don't report it on your personal credit. The only time it would show up, it would be a debt to the business and a default on the business. But guess what? We're coming to you to collect, because you guaranteed this. This was your business. We want to collect our money back. And that's what it's all about.
Wow. So when you personally guarantee a business debt and say you default on it, will that come back on your personal credit, or will it make it harder for you going forward with that business to obtain credit?
We're going to try and collect on that when you personally guarantee it. So we will be looking for some type of payment of some sort. And if it gets to that particular point, it could be detrimental to that individual's credit.
Okay. Is there like balance transfer programs that you guys have for business credit cards? If that makes sense.
We do. On business credit cards, that would not be the best solution when it comes to business lending. If you're looking to consolidate some debt, most businesses don't like consolidating debt unless it's a loan. If you're purchasing some type of equipment and you're looking to refinance it, if you're looking for a business line of credit, because some business lines of credit have a more favorable rate than a business credit card would. So you want to be able to look and do your due diligence when you're looking for business lending options when it's time to consolidate. If you're purchasing a building, like maybe you have a line of credit and you have the commercial real estate, then yeah, it makes sense to be able to consolidate the two, maybe pull a little cash out to be able to do some business improvement. Those type of things are readily available.
Do you have any suggestions for somebody that aspires to open a business and maybe come to Bank of the West to open a business account, obtain lines of credit, and maybe open a franchise? What would be your suggestion to them?
So one is, it is about establishing a relationship with a financial institution. Yes, I would love for it to be Bank of the West, and we're not the only ones out there.
Right.
And you want to create that relationship, because that's what financial institutions are all about. They're about relationship banking. Are you banking your dollars with us and not just looking for lending opportunities? Because we base our pricing off of a relationship. An underwriter will determine whether to do a deal or not do a deal if you're banking with us. Or they may make that as a criteria, say, hey, we need to now be your primary banking institution. We need your deposit dollars, your operating accounts, your payroll accounts to be housed here at this financial institution, so we can be able to see, how is this relationship going to actually be? Which is not a lending vehicle. We just don't give out loans to everybody, but we are into the relationship building. And we do provide additional resources for startup business. We work with a corporation that's a nonprofit. It's called Working Solutions. They offer lending to start up businesses, to be able to obtain loans and lines of credit. And we're not in competition with them. We really partner with them to be able to, they offer something that we don't offer, but when it is time for us to be able to offer something, they hand those clients back over to Bank of the West, saying, here, they're ready, they're able, they provide the education, the budgeting courses and information, business planning, tools and techniques to be able to have businesses become successful.